So all these things are bipartisan supported. So we've talked about our Democratic House majority. I don't think it's been mentioned yet that we have a 1-seat House majority that we would like a couple more seats on, but it requires us to walk across the aisle. Not every vote is bipartisan, but a lot of them are because this affects everyone. Hospital closings, that is not a rural or an urban issue, it's an everyone issue. So just making that clear that our reps are working across the aisle to provide those bipartisan solutions. Does anyone have any questions for our reps? We'll take a couple questions. Our good senator.
I got a question. I've served in a setting where we spend all of our time stopping bad stuff. My question to you all, particularly for members who may have served in the minority and the majority, tell us the difference between what it's like to serve in the majority versus serving in the minority, where you can actually do some good and not just have one person that can.
We only know the.
I think I'm the only one on the panel that's done.
By the way, I gotta say this: the House has passed the budget 5 times. 5 times. The Senate where I serve has yet to one time pass a responsible budget, but that's the story for another day.
So, I'm the only one up here that has served in both the minority and the majority. Everybody else came in to secure us our majority.
We're all number 102.
So, my first term was in the minority, and it is just trying to play defense on pointing out why things are bad, because the hardest part is you're going to lose the battle. You're losing that fight, even though you are making the argument that actually is sort of the truthful thing. It's that we shouldn't gerrymander our courts, and we don't need to create new crimes for everything, and we need to focus on doing the most good for the most people. And so, you're making these arguments, but that the bills that are coming up are still going to get passed. They're going to get through the committee. They're going to get through the chamber. And then being in the majority has been really lovely in the sense of actually being able to prioritize things and to block things by not bringing them up. We passed through the House and the Senate for the first time when I was a freshman legislator a constitutional amendment that would have led to banning abortion in Pennsylvania. To institute a constitutional amendment, you have to pass it through both chambers twice in 2 consecutive sessions, unchanged. Because we took the majority, we never brought that bill up for a vote. Because we took the majority, we're not doing voter ID. Because we took the majority, we are able to talk about public transit funding in a really, truly serious way. And like the senator was saying, 5 different proposals we have sent the Senate for public transit funding, most recently Sean Dougherty's.
Yeah.
And in every proposal, we have funded the subsidies of public transit in a way that actually benefits the smaller transit authorities more.
Oh, right.
The most recent one that we passed, Philadelphia gets 85 cents a passenger. PRT in Allegheny County gets $1.08 a passenger. In Westmoreland, I think it's Westmoreland, they get $6 a passenger. The amount of money that we are putting into the smaller transit authorities is going to make public transit even more accessible. It's going to be transformative for the smaller transit authorities to make sure that more people in areas like this, in areas in the 67 counties that are not relying on public transit right now, that they have the opportunity to do that. And that's the kind of stuff that we're actually able to do in the majority. It is not bring up bad stuff. We don't even have to talk about it. The Senate sent us over a bill attacking trans kids. We don't have to engage in that kind of, red herring game anymore with them because that bill's not coming up. So that, I think, is the really big and important piece is we don't have to bring up the bad bills. We don't even have to talk about them. And we can spend our time talking about the good stuff that actually helps people, that does the most good for the most people. And we can stand our ground and say, we are not going to agree to a 6-month budget 2 months into that 6 months. We are going to fully fund our state, and we're going to do it right, and we're going to fund our schools, and we're going to do it in a responsible way. And yes, you, Senate, also have to govern. Welcome to the legislature.
I just want to add one thing. I've heard from my colleagues, not just Rep. Kinkead, but others, it's in some ways it's kind of easy being in the minority because you can just be against everything. We have a responsibility to come together and to deliver 102 votes in the House. Every single one of those bills we passed, there were things in it that people across our caucus didn't necessarily like. But we have a responsibility to govern. We are the adults in the room. We will make compromises so that we satisfy our members from the urban areas in Philadelphia, from Reading, from Allegheny County, from the rural areas. Look, we owe the people of Pennsylvania a budget. We get paid to do a job. For whatever reason, Senator, you may know better than me, but they have to come through with 26 votes. They have to tell us what they will do because they have a responsibility to do it. Democrats deliver, and we are delivering on that promise in the House of Representatives. I wish the Republican Senate would do the same thing.
Yeah, I just want to briefly talk about the importance of the majority. Now, I'm in my first term, so I've been on the job 8 months now. But in my experience, as Representative Takac said, is perfect. Democrats deliver. We, as a body, have passed mass transit 5 times. I'm proud to say the most recent time we did that was last week. Monday, this week, I don't know what day it is.
Sunday and Monday.
Sunday and Monday, with my bill that fully funds mass transit throughout the Commonwealth. Here's what I also want to point out about that bill. It gives $150 million for road and bridges in rural communities throughout the Commonwealth. Specifically what's called 3 to 4 digit roads, which are typically smaller roads. I mentioned 5 times. On Monday, when we voted, that was the 5th time. And what I did with that bill was, because Democrats delivered, we passed it 4 times before. The majority over in the Senate, which is Republican controlled, has never brought it up. They said they brought up their own bills saying, well, we want this, we want that, we want this, but they had no funding for mass transit to the Commonwealth. So, being the good Democrats that we are, and the good government officials, we took what they wanted and put it in a bill that included funding for mass transit throughout the Commonwealth, for Philadelphia, for Pittsburgh, for Bedford County, but also for roads and bridges. Guess what? We got bipartisan support. We passed it in the House. Guess what just happened yesterday?
They ripped it apart.
They absolutely ripped it apart. They completely amended it. And they're saying that, oh, this is the right way to go about it. It's not. They're putting a plug in something that's going to explode. We get stuff done. We do it by working across the aisle, by working together. We know when we can put up 102, and we do put up 102, and that's what we're going to continue to do. Thank you.
I'm gonna get up for this one. So, I'm fortunate to be in the majority and help attain the majority. So I'm grateful for that. So I'm sorry for you all who remain in the minority and who had to struggle with that. But I want to say this. I despised politics. I hated politics. And when I learned or realized the impact that politics had in my pockets, right? That's when I chose to run for office and make a difference. And what I realized being in this legislative body and seeing the dynamics, it's very transactional, and I can't stand that. Because if it's good for the people, it shouldn't have to constantly be negotiated, right? So I think it's time. I can't stress this enough. It is time that we restore the power of the people. And that starts with each and every one of you in this room. You elect your folks to represent you and represent your power and be your voice. But too often, we are not holding our elected body accountable. So the power lies within the people. And we need to be more strategic and intentional with how we spend our time and making sure that every member of our community knows how to contact not only their elected body, but all elected officials. Because at the end of the day, I may not represent you, but every vote that I take affects you. So it's so important. I can't stress it enough. I think when you leave here, you need to figure out how you will start talking to your neighbors, your friends, your family, and give them the contact list of the GOP Senate. Call them, email them, mail them, visit them, because it is of extreme importance. It is detrimental that we activate every single member of our community and get them to do something. Because I am worried. I am worried. I'm stressed. I sometimes lose sleep because I wake up and I'm like, this is the United States of America? My parents grew up in a dictatorship in the Dominican Republic. And if you said something wrong about the president, you disappear. Like it was that bad. And here we are enjoying all these freedoms that so many people died for us to enjoy. And if we continue to kind of like do a little bit, and we allow others to just not do anything, we're gonna go down this ugly, nasty hole, full of darkness, and we're gonna go back into time, and I refuse. So again, each and every one of you has the power to make a difference. You're already here, you're already activated, but it's those that are not in this room, the young people. I mean, this is State College, for goodness sake. Right? Even children in elementary school can do something. They can write, they can put cards together, they can even color. They can definitely pick up the phone, email, etc. Everyone has the power to make a difference and make sure that at least our Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is going in the right direction. And the Senate, they need to pass the budget because more people are continue to suffer. We're already suffering. So enough is enough. Let's make sure we feel the power and that we activate that power and that we urge and make sure everybody else around us, is embracing and activating that same power. Thank you so much.
I will just say, all of us have cars and will travel. So I quite honestly, I'm gonna kind of put the challenge back to you a little bit in that, tell us where to show up. Tell us where to be, because we're happy to show up. I mean, the number of times that I have been the only Democrat at a farm tour, and had the response of, "Oh, you're a Democrat, like, but you're not. You're like reasonable." Is I think just one more opportunity where we are not conceding space. We are taking up space, we are showing up, and we are saying that Democrats are working for people, because I think that for too long, we as elected officials, I will not say you guys are doing the work in these communities, but we as elected officials have conceded space and allowed Republicans to be the only people showing up in these communities and talking to people. So when they show up, even if they're not serving those communities, they're still showing up. People know them. That's my friend, It doesn't matter how they vote. So we, as Democrats, elected Democrats, need to show up in these spaces and not concede space. But we need your help to make sure that we're doing that. We need to know when these things are happening. So, have car, will travel.
That's great. I have just really quick, I also want to say one thing. With all the negativity in this world, we see it every damn day. it's really easy to know what we're against. We as Democrats need to be clear about what we are for. We absolutely need to be clear about that. And the essential question in politics, when you're talking to anybody, is, are you on my side? Democrats are on the side of people in rural communities. We're fighting to protect their schools, their healthcare, their hospitals, all those kind of things. What the hell is the other side doing to help you? That's the essential question. Thank you.
One more thing I wanted to see and ask, does that mean that SEPTA tomorrow is gonna start cutting their roots?
Yes.
So, the question is SEPTA tomorrow going to start cutting their roots?
The answer to your question is yes. Now, tomorrow it's starting because they need a 10-day window to train their bus drivers and transit operators on how to work the new routes. And that's why, we passed it 5 times, I told you, in the House. It's been over to the Senate. Tomorrow, the doomsday effect starts. So the cuts are happening. And with those cuts happening, that means less revenue, obviously, which SEPTA, so the 5 southeastern counties and Allegheny County, so 6 counties in total, generate 46% of our state's budget, of our state's economy. 46%.
I presume you're gonna do a lot of advertising in those 6 counties.
My voice, I'm losing my voice for how long I've been screaming at a mountaintop. We all been screaming at mountaintops. Even people all over the state see, here's the thing. People on other sides or other parts of the state, they see SEPTA and they just think Philadelphia. They don't understand what SEPTA actually does for all 67 counties of this Commonwealth. Not just one county, all 67.
Bedford County Democrats here. You can see all of our.
Thank you for what you do.
Bedford County Democrats here. I wanted to just piggyback on what you were mentioning. I joined the Bedford Farm Bureau in Bedford County a few years ago. I'm the only Democrat that goes on the farm tours. I'm one of the few Democrats that goes to their meetings, attends their dinners. And I love what you said about the fact that, like, we see Senator Pat Stefano, not our Republican, at all these events. We see Jesse Topper at all these events. There's representation. These folks know them, and they like them because they cut ribbons and they eat cake. And they're everywhere doing that. So for us to have a seat at the table is a really big deal. We didn't do it for years, and we're trying really hard to infiltrate some of these groups that we've lost focus with. So I appreciate what you said. And anytime that your panel wants to come to Bedford County, we welcome you to come in, take over a meeting. We'll have a separate event for you. We just had a picnic 2 weeks ago. We had over 260 people show up in the second reddest county in the state. So we need you, and I love this message. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to let you know, I have sat next to both Representative Topper and Senator Stefano at meetings of like the intermediate unit groups and the school groups. We will show up, just make sure we're invited and we can get ourselves a seat at the table.
So Allegheny County actually doesn't have a farm bureau. Technically, we are represented by Westmoreland County. So I am a member of the Westmoreland County Farm Bureau. and it's sort of an adoptee of the Butler County Farm Bureau. And yeah, now all of those folks, they know me and they get very excited when they see me, and I get invited to things, and they will come to events that I host. And I think this is where we are starting a dialogue about what it is that Democrats will deliver for these folks. And shout out to Bedford as the only turnpike stop that has a Subway and not just a Popeyes and Burger King and Roy Rogers. But yes, absolutely would be happy to come at any point in time. Feel free to reach out to my office, and again, you know, I go to the farm tours, any of them that I get invited to that I can make work in my schedule, I will show up, because I think that it is important that we never ever concede space.
Thank you.
We're trying to keep these folks elected and then get a couple more seats. We'd like a few more seats than a 1-seat majority. But if you have people that want us to come to your county, please let us know. Talk to me, talk to Madeline, our executive director, and we'll make that happen. I think we're good for questions.
I don't have a question, I just want to say one thing. The road to victory is through rural Pennsylvania County.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.